is Nina Eric, your raconteur extraordinaire, and I hope that you enjoy all the tales that I spin for you. Happy listening! You should consider yourself blessed if you live in Accra and you've never encountered those people who sell Nyame plastic chairs or U2 iodinated salt. These vendors hawk their wares from vehicles and drive around neighborhoods, playing pre-recorded messages at incredible volumes and even more incredible times. Almost every day, I am rudely dragged out of my sleep by a man shouting,
"And your original plastic table private Joshua, and your 25 Ghana cities, and your
This would be followed up about 10 minutes later by another man shouting, "You tunchnina bo, you tunchnina ba. Bako meza ye 2 cities." And I wonder why the guy shouts so excitedly about salt. I mean, it's just salt. It's practically available everywhere. And on the days that the universe decides to really punish me for whatever sins it's found me guilty of, a dawn street preacher with a faulty megaphone that keeps giving loud feedback would arrive around 4 a.m., stand behind my window and scream eternal hell and damnation. Oh, and then there's the tea bread seller. I think she's the one who annoys me most, with her loud nasal voice shouting "tea bread" in a sing-song manner that makes me feel like bursting into tears of frustration. Such is my predicament every morning. And so when my colleague at work offered to share her 2-bedroom apartment at East Legon with me for half of the rent, I jumped at it. This was East Legon. I was sure there was no way all these vendors would be tolerated there. And I was right. For 2 weeks, my mornings were so quiet and peaceful, I felt like I was in the Garden of Eden. And then it happened. One morning, on a holiday no less, I was jerked out of my sleep by an incredibly strange noise that was so loud and piercing it affected my balance for a minute. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what it was. It sounded like halfway between an ambulance siren and the sound a dog would make if someone ran it over with a car. And it wouldn't stop. I teetered out of my room and knocked on my roommate's door. "What the hell is that noise?" I asked when she came out. "Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that there's a church behind our apartment. Their choir has rehearsal every holiday. And when they've had an all-night service before a holiday, they prefer to rehearse in the morning." She just recited this information to me with a straight face and then jumped back into her bed. I couldn't put a lid on the surge of anger that welled up within me. "What?" I yelled. Rampant annoying noise making is the reason I moved from my neighborhood. My previous neighborhood, and now this? My roommate lowered her cover cloth enough to tell me, "Hey, don't yell at me, go yell at them. I am not making any rampant annoying noises this morning, but you are. Direct it at them." She was right. I threw on something decent and stomped out of the apartment. I was going to give them a piece of my mind. This was a residential area. They couldn't disturb residents like that. It was unacceptable, and I was going to tell them just that. What nonsense. As I flounced on, one of my slippers broke and I tripped so hard, I looked like I was swimming in the air. I struggled to stay upright and failed. I fell hard, and that increased the fuel supply for my anger. Now I was just livid. I pushed myself up from the floor and picked up my torn slipper, muttering to myself as I walked. I knew I presented quite a spectacular picture with my dirty clothes and askew headscarf and torn slipper, but I didn't care. I was going to scream bloody murder, and I might well look the part. All activity ceased when I entered the church and the choristers saw me, but not before I discovered that the noise was coming from a human being who was doing some kind of voice warm-up. Hey! Anyway, so I asked them, "Who's in charge here?" "I am," a deep, musical, audibly pleasant voice said. I turned around and stared at him, and stared and stared. Wow! He was tall and drop-dead gorgeous. He had a big, wide, muscular chest that I was tempted to rest my head on and go to sleep. His arms were rippling muscular badges. And his face, oh my God, he looked like a fallen angel. Dark, riveting eyes that focused on me and kept me prisoner. Wow. Chocolate complexion so rich, I felt I could dip a finger in it and taste it. He smiled, and my knees nearly buckled. It was a slowly executed lopsided grin that gave him that proverbial bad boy expression. All that was left was a huge motorcycle and a black leather jacket. Long story short, I am now the soprano part leader of the Mercy and Atonement Choir in the church behind my apartment. Hey!